they're going to say it's not the best experience. No, let's be blatantly honest here. Blatantly honest, obvious. It is trash, or it was trash. This is News on a Tuesday, and today we are talking about a few different things, but more importantly, the things that matter are really these heavy news items that we talk about on a News on a Tues because it's newsworthy. Even if you don't think it has news merit, it's still newsy on a Tues. Anyway, I'm just totally jacking with you. But today we do have two things that we want to talk about, and well, they impact you for a number of reasons. Maybe you don't use this, maybe you do, but I'm willing to bet at some point in time, especially if you have been a mock builder, I guarantee you have used this item in your time. And the funny thing is, after we released last week's News on a Tues episode, this popped up the day after, and I was like, oh God, I just wish it was on a Tuesday that I could have done it. Anyway, with that in mind, Bricklink Studio is replacing Lego Digital Designer, LDD. So Lego Digital Designer has been around since, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, like 2004, something like that. It's been around a long, long time, and it is being replaced. It's being removed, essentially, by Bricklink Studio. If you are unfamiliar or you're like, wait, what? And you've lived under a rock, Bricklink was bought by the Lego Group, what is it, over a year ago now? It seems like, God, it doesn't even seem that long ago. So it was bought by them. And Bricklink had their own studio stuff. I think it was like Studio.io or something like that. It was something weird. Anyway, so you had that. And you also had Lego Digital Designer. Personally, I like Lego Digital Designer. I went through it. That is where I first found it, and I rolled with it. Bricklink Studio, I think, was a little more in-depth. It was a little bit more, to the designer type experience. I think people that maybe have experience in CAD and stuff like that were more familiar with Bricklink and its offerings versus LDD. So with that in mind, it's going away, and LDD, the Lego Digital Designer website, is going to close on January 31st of this year. So it is a matter of a few weeks before it is completely kaput and you can no longer, download it. However, here is something interesting. Downloaded versions of it will continue to work, but people are encouraged to download the new Bricklink Studio. You can import your LDD files. You can use it for Lego building and Lego designing. I mean, all kinds of different things. So, I mean, you can do what you need to right there. Now, the fact that it was released by what? What are we talking about? Over a decade ago? A decade and a half? That's a long time. And it didn't see the most improvements or pieces that were lacking. There was some flexibility as far as the design program itself, which were kind of archaic in comparison to Bricklink Studio. So I am happy to see that they are pushing towards Bricklink Studio instead. It's one thing that they don't really have to worry about so much. Granted, they still have all of these things. I mean, it is still a Lego-owned venture, so they are still supporting Bricklink, but at the same time, they don't have to really come up with it on their own. It's already there. And all they have to do is make mild improvements to it, add in new pieces, add in new parts, all that kind of stuff. And that's really all you have to do. You have to make these renders of these new pieces. Now, I know Lego designers have the opportunity to go digital and create things digitally and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of them do a lot of hand illustration type things, like I want this for a set or I want that. And then they go to the digital stuff before they start putting hands on things. They come up with some ideas. So part of me is like, okay, are they kind of taking what Lego designers have done and add that into Studio and roll with it from there? I don't really know, but I like the opportunity that it really does give to somebody that maybe isn't like, you know what, I want to go to this LDD, because the LDD took up a chunk of computer space. Studio, maybe not as much. I don't think, is Studio web-based? I can't remember. However, with that in mind, it's interesting to see. I know there have been many varied opinions. Some people are like, LDD was the bomb. I can't go to Studio. It sucks. And then I've also heard, oh, thank God, LDD was such trash. I'm so glad they're getting rid of it. So it really depends on what side of the fence you fall on. I mean, I'm kind of not partial to either. I'm very impartial to one or the other. I'm just kind of like, whatever works best, let's roll with that. But some people have gotten so good with LDD versus the Studio that they're like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Now, it's been probably a year now since I've used either, but if the functions are similar, the similarities are there, you'll get the people to come in. Obviously, if LDD shuts down, they can't use that anymore, they're not going to be able to. Now, with the fact that the website is going offline, I highly doubt, even if you have a downloaded copy at this point in time or have it before January 31st, I highly doubt it's going to be updated so that you can use that in the future. You're going to have pieces and parts and minifigs and all that kind of stuff that aren't available, that might be available or will be available on Bricklink Studio. So you do have to keep that in mind depending on, well, what am I going to do for my project? How am I going to build this? I want to design this and then put it into Brick. You can do that. But if you don't have the most up-to-date pieces to be able to modify things, take design drawings that you have in LDD and upload them into Studio, you're going to run into problems because everybody wants to use the newest, latest, and greatest. And there's a bunch of new parts that are coming out this year. I mean, there's a bunch of new parts that are coming out this year. So that is definitely something where you got to be like, you know what? Yeah, I think I can do this. So it is definitely something to take into consideration. So the next thing I wanted to touch on is the Pick-a-Brick. Pick-a-Brick. How many of you know Pick-a-Brick, right? And Bricks and Pieces. I just had this conversation, 2 weeks ago about Bricks and Pieces, about going and buying, certain pieces from Lego's website. Pick-a-Brick and Bricks and Pieces are merging together. Now, some of you are going to be like, no, they are. And I think it's kind of interesting. And, you have the opportunity to bring two things under the same umbrella, which, I mean, can you really complain about it? I mean, to me, it really seems like it's been long past overdue. So here's a little bit of a background. If you don't know anything, here's how this works. So Lego, what was current their Pick-a-Brick and Bricks and Pieces setup were completely independent of each other. And most people are like, what? There's two different things. So they were running tests. They usually run these in Europe, by the way, if you're not familiar. And, they're trying to understand these consumer groups and really try and dive deep into what is going on and how people are utilizing these systems. So based on what they had learned, their next step was to create this new merged experience on Lego.com. Bricks and Pieces and Pick-a-Brick are going to be one experience where you guys can browse all kinds of different elements in one place much more easily. Instead of jumping here to here to here to here, it improves the shipping time to the US and Canada, which was always a pain in the booty. It took like weeks on end, like 3-4 weeks to be able to do it because they're creating new fulfillment centers in the US warehouse. It'll reduce shipping time of their top 1,600 elements from 13 to 18 working days to 5 working days, which is huge. That's beyond cutting it in half. That's like 80% increase of productivity. Hey, hello. Now, obviously, there are going to be some shipping delays for a short time until they really get this thing up and running. But hey, it's a positive experience, right? So they're merging the two. With Pick-a-Brick, you'll be able to shop across one specifically merged portfolio where you have an understanding of visibility of standard and best sellers as far as elements, as far as pieces go, if you don't call them elements. You also have the option to choose what elements you want from which warehouse. So, for instance, items that are listed as bestseller, which are the most popular elements and will ship from Poland or the US. Plus, you can track your order. That's been an issue. You've not been able to track things. You're just like, you're checking the mailbox every day. Like, is it here today? No. 3 weeks later? No. Oh, yay, it's finally here. Day 23. Standard elements are going to ship from Billund, but they're not trackable. The interesting thing is, here's what they did. They denoted what allows you to determine what is coming from where. Bestsellers have a yellow tag attached to them as far as your shopping experience, which is huge. That's a big deal. I want convenience. I want ease of use. I want to be able to know, where is this coming from? If it's got a yellow tag, I know it's coming from Billund. I know I'm going to have to wait just ever so slightly longer, and I can't track it, which is fine as long as I know it's coming from Billund. It will eventually get here. So something else that they have been working on, price differences from, how many different currencies are used in the world? In Europe alone, in the US, in Canada, in Mexico, in Australia, in New Zealand. I'm naming some of the big ones here. But they have done as much as they can to keep low prices, but also reflect the changes in market conditions. There will be some elements that are slightly higher and others that are of a lower price. So what you may not have realized is in the past, what they did was, it sounded really dumb, but different colors had different prices. It could have been a 1x2 plate and it had, 10 different color variations. And there were, in many cases, like 6 different prices. This one cost this much. The white one, the black one, the brown one, this color brown, this color blue, this color blue. They were all different prices. Now the prices are expected to be more consistent, but there are some expectations. Expectations of, look, if you are looking for a more specific color, expect to pay more. There are always exceptions to the rule, right? Always. So expect to pay more. So gold and silver, pieces that glow in the dark, decorated elements, they're going to be ever so slightly more. Doesn't matter what the piece is. It's a 1x2 plate. It's a different color. It's silver. It glows in the dark, whatever. You're going to pay a little bit more, which I think most people are going to say, you know what? I'm okay with paying more as long as I have that there. Because a lot of people, what they would do that I have had conversations with, and myself included, is they would change their design based on the A, part availability, and B, the part price. Because they could check Bricklink, they could check out, sometimes the pick-a-brick wall you could do. They're adjusting accordingly. But if they know going ahead that certain pieces are going to be a few cents more per piece, you're going to adjust accordingly. Okay, I still might want to do an all-white building, or I still might want to do an all-silver, layer of this part, but I know it's going to cost me this much extra, and you can plan for that. You can expect for that to be the case versus logging in and pulling this stuff up. You're like, what is going on here? How in the heck did this happen? Why am I paying so much for this blue versus this blue? This is absolutely ridiculous. So that is something that is going to change as they move along and should be from day one. So here's what I don't quite understand this, but I find this interesting. Here's what the statement says. With the new experience, we'll be introducing a split basket with a threshold for each basket. Simple enough. The split basket view will give you visibility between bestseller and standard elements and where your chosen elements are coming from, either Billund, Poland, or the US, obviously. Everything that is special comes from Billund. Anything else that is not comes from Poland to Europe and I guess rest of the world. Anything else for the Americas comes from the US warehouse. If your basket meets the minimum threshold amount, then you won't have to pay any handling fees. Hello! How many of you are on your knees right now with your hands clasped together saying, oh my God, thank you so much. It's so amazing. It's not sad tears. These are tears of joy. Because that has always been a thing where you're like, oh God, how much is this going to cost me? Seriously. They're also going to improve their supply chain processes to reduce and simplify handling fees in the future. Big plus there. Big thumbs up from me. The new experience means that all parts orders, all of them, including those previously made in bricks and pieces, can be applied to promotions such as gifts with purchase. GWPs, who don't love GWP, on Lego.com. So the reason they're making these changes, well, their current setup is kind of crap. They're going to say it's not the best experience. No, let's be blatantly honest here. Blatantly honest, obvious, it is trash, or it was trash. These improvements will be much better. So I do like the idea that they are going to do that. I like the idea that you're bringing everything into one specific spot and it's done. It's an easy shopping experience. I don't want to have to bounce back and forth looking from here to there, to here, to there. I don't want to have to do that. I want to simply be able to go to one spot. I want to shop. I want to do all my shopping there. I want to get my groceries and my toys and my Lego all in one spot. I don't want to have to go to 3 different stores. And that's essentially what they're doing. So the interesting thing, the first change happens for the US and Canada. Well, once the warehouse is open here in January, they're going to start fulfilling Pick-a-Brick orders as soon as they can. In order for the change to occur, Pick-a-Brick will be unavailable for approximately 48 hours starting the late evening of January 23rd to January 25th when Pick-a-Brick comes back online. So 23rd to the 25th, stay off. You're going to get the spinning wheel of death, the blue screen of death, something where you're like, I can't get on. Let's go customer service. And please don't. You're going to look like a fool. You didn't read. It is planned. It is a necessary one. So it's not like, let me log in. There's like a number of websites online. You can go, is Lego.com down? And it'll pop up and be like, Lego.com has not been down for 578 days, whatever it might be. But it's going to be down. So just expect. So during the soft launch, okay, don't be an idiot, for lack of a better term. They're going to be using different metrics and all kinds of things to see how all of this rolls together and is in a pretty box with a pretty little bow on top. They want to make everything better for you. They really do. And if you don't see that, you're kind of a fool to not realize that they've heard you. They have gone to the drawing board. They have sat down at a table and pounded this thing out with a gavel and we're like, yes, we've got a solution. So just roll with it. Other than that, I think you guys will be pretty impressed. I think you will be much happier. Everything is in one spot. You don't have to run here and there, up, down, backwards, sideways, and go to multiple websites to find all these different pieces. And you got multiple orders. One's trackable, one's not. At least you now know. There's something about being out in the open and, where you have that opportunity, Lego does in this case, to just be completely transparent and say, look, we're doing this. We know we did this wrong in the past. We're fixing it. This is what we're doing. Give us a little bit of time, but this is what we're doing. And I think most Lego fans, AFOLs, are going to be like, cool. Clap their hands together, rinse off that dust and be like, hey, we good. We're good. We can roll on with this. It's not a big deal. We can handle it. We will be fine. So I love that is happening. The last thing that I wanted to talk about today, or let you guys in on, let you listen to, was the designer video for the new Lego Ideas Sonic set. I believe the Green Hill Zone is what it is. So here it is for your listening enjoyment.
My name is Samuel Liltop Johnson and I'm a design manager for the Lego Ideas product line. The latest Lego Ideas set that we've been working on is Lego Sonic the Hedgehog, the Green Hill Zone, which is by Viv Grenell, aka Toaster Girl. Lego Ideas is an online platform where our adult fans out there can submit their ideas for the next big Lego set, and if they can get 10,000 votes from their fellow adult fans, then we will consider it for a real-life Lego set as part of the Lego Ideas assortment. Viv submitted an idea called Sonic Mania, and we've been working on it to develop it into a real set for the 30th anniversary of Sonic the Hedgehog. The set is based on the very first level, the Green Hill Zone, from the Sonic the Hedgehog game released in the early 90s. It includes the famous checker pattern, which everyone knows from that very first moment that you see Sonic, and it has palm trees, rings, a loop, It has also the Badnik robots that Sonic has to defeat as he goes through the level. And then you also have a rotating checkpoint, so when Sonic runs past, it of course turns red instead of blue. And there's also a spring, so you can launch Sonic up in the air and he can collect all the rings that are floating up in the sky. The set includes an exclusive Sonic the Hedgehog minifigure, and also brick-built versions of the Badniks Motorbug and Crab Meat, and a brick-built figure of Dr. Eggman. As you build the set, you go from bag 1, 2, 3, and so on, and every time you complete one of those bags, you're actually rewarded with a Chaos Emerald to add to Sonic's collection to ultimately defeat Dr. Eggman at the end of your build.
My name is Lauren Kalinking. I'm a senior graphic designer with the LEGO Group. On this set, I was working on the characters, the decorated bricks, and the stickers. On the sticker sheet, we have details for Dr. Eggman's hovercraft, also his iconic buttons for his pants, the item boxes, 2 faces for Motorbug, and the brown checkered pattern that appears throughout the Green Hill Zone.
We've really tried to cram in as many small icons from the game as possible. Sonic has 3 lives, exactly like how when you start the very first level. We've also included a tiny sticker on the back, which is dedicated to our fan designer Viv, and it has a small scoreboard with some special numbers.
So on the scoreboard, we have 3 top players. Of course, at the top is our fan designer Viv with some special numbers, which I believe is a family member's birthday. In second place is my initials with the numbers actually spelling out Sonic on a traditional phone keypad. And in last place, we have Sam with the score 1991, which was the launch date of the Sonic the Hedgehog game.
We worked really closely with Viv, our fan designer, on bringing her designs to life in the way that she presented them in her original submission. For example, Dr. Eggman is really close to the way that she designed it in the final product.
So the element used for Dr. Eggman's head is actually traditionally printed in a slightly different direction. But in order to print it the best way to match Viv's build, we actually had to invest in new machinery to be able to rotate the element 45 degrees and print it so it could be positioned exactly as she wanted.
We also took her idea of this kind of modularity in the world where we could maybe, if we had 2 sets, make one really long version of the Green Hill Zone, or we could even swap parts around. We really loved that idea.
Included in the set, we have a decorated brick that shows the grass pattern from the Green Hill Zone. It's the classic pixelated grass that everyone remembers from the first game. And the cool thing is that you can take one brick and line it up with the next one to continue the pattern.
We included a couple of new colours for some of the bricks in the set. For example, Dr. Eggman has new white gloves, and the Chaos Emeralds come in 7 colours.
Well, when it came to researching, of course, I went back and replayed the game to make sure that we captured the details the best we could.
We also used a lot of the reference material supplied by Sega, which has been really helpful, getting that real look and feel of the original game and bring the characters from 2 dimensions on the screen into your hands as 3-dimensional models. Some parts that I'm really happy with on the final design are the use of these life preservers as rings. That was a really great input by Sega. They suggested that we do that, and it really looks like the rings in the game.
One of my favorite things to work on the stickers was the item boxes. So when the fan builds the set, they can choose exactly which power-ups that Sonic will be able to collect on his way.
My personal favourite part of the set is the small crab meat Badnik. I think it really looks spot on to the character that you see in the game, and it also really looks a lot like what Viv came with as well. So it really hits the mark on both sides. I'm really happy with the way it looks.
So how can you not appreciate the greatness that is Sonic at this point in time? I've not picked up Sonic yet, but my God, listening to Sam and Lauren and just the design behind this, that was exquisite. If you don't know anything about Sam, I think is it Spider Sam on Twitter? Dude is a funny guy, just a toy lover in general. And everything that he does with his LEGO Ideas team just comes across so well. They have done so many different projects, and they just continue to improve upon improving. And me being that retro era, okay, let me back this up for a moment. But that retro era as far as Sonic goes in Nintendo and at the back end of Atari, I love this. This is so neat. And there were so many things that I had no idea about. And April B was fortunate enough to be able to get a copy. If you haven't checked that out, she has already built it over on her Twitch stream. If you don't know Twitch, I think it's /April B. Check that out. Really some cool stuff that is over there. But my goodness. Hearing from a designer and a graphic designer at the same time and what they do, it really gives you a greater appreciation for what is really there and what they really have to accomplish every single time that they set out to build a set. So yeah, oh my goodness, that was some good stuff. I really enjoyed it. I've probably watched that video 5 or 6 times, not including the time that we have thrown it in here into the recording for you to listen to as well. So I do implore you to go check that out as well. You can check it out on I think Lego's YouTube page, and you can probably Google it and find it. Anyway, so with that in mind, that is going to wrap up this segment of News on a Tues. This was a long one. A lot of good stuff here. A lot of things to really help you move along as the year. I mean, we're only, a few weeks into the year, and it's like, oh my goodness, there's just so much going on. So until we meet again, I'm your minifigure host, Matt. Let's build on it.